Welcome to Volkswagen, guys. We have 5 broken valves. I guess let's just go for it. I don't know what else to wait for. 6 months ago, I bought this Volkswagen Tiguan for a $500 bid on Copart. It was listed as mechanical damages and no start. I figured there's a tiny chance that maybe we just have a broken starter. But what do you know, once I did the diagnostics, I found out that we have timing correlation codes and a seized engine. Fast forward 5 more months and I finally found a decent engine donor, a Tiguan that's 5 years newer but also very crashed. And also $500. In the last video I had removed the engine from the donor, and today the plan is to get this car back on the road. I am starting to notice that I got pretty spoiled by working on non-German, non-VAG group cars, because this is unpleasant. Like, I forgot how unpleasant German cars are to work on. Or at least pulling the engines out of them is usually pretty unpleasant. All of these sensors, all of the connectors are just so far deep in there. You either have to fully remove the intake manifold to access some of the plugs behind it, or just completely ruin your fingers and your skin and then just get really frustrated trying to reach them, because some of them are just so hard to unplug. Initially, I was hoping to just take this engine out, leave the transmission, leave everything in place, but again, due to amazing engineering, it's not possible. There's absolutely no way to get to the torque converter bolts and unbolt them, because the all-wheel drive, like the rear wheel delivery thing that actually sends power to that rear drive shaft, is really in the way of getting to that little window near the bell housing where we can actually get a wrench onto our torque converter bolts, meaning that even though I can kind of set a wrench on there, there's absolutely no space for me to turn it, and I have to remove this as one piece. Another thing, what is up with this bolt for the lower control arm on the driver's side? No kidding, in order for you to remove that control arm, you have to drop the transmission pan. What? I mean, that is just, it's not even funny at this point. That is absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, what else is new? Everybody knew that working on German cars is harder. I just kind of guess needed a refresher of how unpleasant this stuff actually is. Gotta get back to work. I'll see you soon. Now under the car, I've disconnected our drive shaft, removed the AC compressor without unhooking the lines, got rid of all the wiring, transmission cooler lines, as well as the engine/transmission mount. Alright, got this bad boy out without too much drama, I think, so that's good. Once you kind of remove a bunch of things, it gets pretty easy, I suppose. The main issue is just the fact that you have to take the intake manifold to get this thing off. I think it is possible to do it without that, but it makes this job way harder and more frustrating, so it's not really worth trying to avoid doing that. So even though I have way better things to work on, I really want to take this thing apart and just see what kind of carnage is going on inside this engine. because I'm pretty sure it's pretty bad in there. What had failed? The tensioner stopped giving it enough tension, or the chain just stretched to the point that the tensioner completely maxed out and couldn't tension this thing anymore. It jumped a bunch of teeth, locking this engine up. And needless to say, I am not disappointed. So all of these guys, we have 5 broken valves, and then I'm pretty sure every single one of them is bent. All of these are supposed to be able to retract, but because they're bent, they're not, so they're not seating all the way back up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bent valves. This guy looks bent as well. And this one might have survived, and this one got a bit hit here with the other valve, some friendly fire, valve on valve action here. The cylinder walls look okay. Oh, this over here is, no, that's just built up carbon. Yeah, this looks fine. I don't think the piston travels this high up because this is just carbon buildup. So looks like the block might actually be fine. So in reality, I could have just done a new head and called it a day. Oh no. Come on. Perfect. Haha. Ooh, that is so much better. Wow. I mean, just look at the difference. It's like the regular headlights are not doing anything. And no more warning. As it turns out, head bolts from a Silverado are a perfect, well, almost perfect fit for our bell housing bolts to get this thing onto an engine stand. They're obviously a little too long, but that is okay. Luckily for me, this is not the first time ECS has sponsored us and sent us some parts. This kit came with a brand new lower timing cover, which even though we didn't damage and don't really need, I guess we might as well use a new part rather than the stock part, because after all, this does come with a brand new front main seal, and it would be kind of nice to have a fresh one. We also have gasket maker, all of the needed guides, a new top timing cover gasket, 2 chains, one for the timing, one for our balance shaft. Long story short, ECS Tuning is absolutely awesome. I am so glad that they are willing to help us out and send all of these parts. If you guys are in the market for any kind of parts for your German vehicle, please go ahead and click on the link in the description and see what they might have for you. There we go. So the timing chain is officially off the engine. Both the tensioner and the chain seem to be in decent shape, but it's always better to be safe than sorry with these 2.0s and their timing chains. The only thing we're not replacing here is our oil pump chain, because that is not really needed. It never really goes bad for the life of the engine. It doesn't really need that much tension. It is not timed, so even if it does break, you can always replace the chain without having catastrophic engine failure, assuming that you don't drive with no oil pressure. I am going to mark all of our timing marks to make them a little more visible. So right here are the 2 marks for our balance shaft chain. It's gonna be the shorter chain, so I believe that would be this guy. So I'll start with the stop guide. Yeah. And then this guy. Our timing chain just slides in through the top over here. I'm just gonna snap it on. The torque spec for these guys is 7.5 foot-pounds. And now that all of these are torqued down, we can actually properly get the timing chain on. Now, in order to make sure that we have the camshafts in top dead center, we need to measure the distance from the center portion to our timing mark. 61 to 64 is what we're looking for, so we're going to slide the caliper to that. We'll go with 62 right in the middle, just about 2 teeth. So we rotate this guy, and once we're in position, slide the tool in to the tooth, and that should hold our cam. There we go. And then for the exhaust camshaft, it is supposed to be 124 to 126 millimeters from the intake cam mark to the exhaust cam mark, which is quite a silly way of measuring it, but who am I to argue with that? And lastly, we have to time our crankshaft, which unfortunately fell in 1 tooth off, so we're gonna have to try and address that. Come on. There we go. Okay. Nope, that's not it. There it is. Okay, that's it. So lastly, we installed this guide right here, bolted up with our last bolt, and of course, throw on our timing chain tensioner. We do have 2 brand new bolts for that, thanks to ECS Tuning. Because I gotta be honest, if I was doing this and the 2 bolts for the tensioner weren't included in the kit, there's no way I'm replacing those. We're gonna double check all of our marks. This is good, this is good, this is good. And then for the balance shaft, good, good, and good. Lastly, I did get our tensioner for the oil pump installed, and now we just spin this over a couple of times, make sure that we don't have any kind of piston on valve contact. Everything is in time. The engine spins despite the compression, which I guess is a good thing. можеш підійти допомогти? Буде зарядка. Вот. Да. Alright, so great news. The engine is now somewhat a little bit bolted to the car, meaning that we can fully mount this up and just start working away at all the hoses and connectors, and sooner or later it's gonna be good to go. Something I think I should change is the starter. The starter is attached to the transmission, meaning that what we have on there is the starter from the 2010 car, this one, that had the seized engine. And very frequently starters will blow after the engine gets seized and people try to start the engine a million times and the starter just can't take it. I'm not really sure whether or not this starter is bad. I don't remember it making any kind of noises when I tried to start this car. You might be wondering, why wouldn't I have swapped the starter before putting the transmission engine back in the car? Don't worry, I'm wondering that too. I just completely forgot that I was gonna do that, and by the time I remembered, this was already here. So now we're just gonna have to struggle a little bit to get the starter out, but I don't think it's gonna be too bad. Just out of curiosity, let's try and see whether this starter works at all. This to that, this to that. Completely dead. Let's just make sure that we don't have any bad contacts. Nope, nothing. Same thing happened with the Sonata that had a hydrolocked engine, and this just seems to be the trend. So I guess this is just advice. If you're ever swapping a seized engine, probably check the starter. We are so close to being done. Once we fill this fluid, I simply warm up the car, make sure that excess fluid drains out. I also need to put it in drive and see if I can get the rear wheels to rotate a little bit so that I can get to the last bolt for our drive shaft. It is time to start this car. I'm a little scared, theoretically everything should be good. I got kind of confident when putting this together in terms of like, I decided to reassemble the battery box and everything. It's just pretty much put back together as if I'm not gonna have to touch anything. We're assuming that I did a fantastic job and there's gonna be absolutely nothing wrong. I guess let's just go for it. I don't know what else to wait for. Kind of scared to do this on top of the lift here. I'll be fine. Okay. Sounds great so far. There was a bit of a timing chain rattle because we have a brand new filter in there, so it took some effort for the car to build up oil pressure. Doesn't look like we're dripping anything. I do remember adding oil, so that's good. Okay. It does look like we have a check engine light, which is a little sad. There's also traction control lights, which are probably due to the steering angle sensor since the battery was disconnected. That has to be recalibrated once we start driving around. I think we're short on trans fluid. I might have to get some more. All right, believe it or not, but I think we're actually done. I have to throw the wheels on and that'll be basically the very last step of this. I got our skid plate on, I made sure our transmission fluid is at the correct level. The drive shaft is fully bolted on. I read the engine codes and looks like all of them were historic. So it was the timing correlation, all the misfires, knock sensor, and that's it. So theoretically, we are not even gonna have any codes and everything is plugged in the way it should be. And last piece of the puzzle. Alright, you guys, looks like all of our lights went away. We just have the windshield washer fluid level low, even though the reservoir is completely full, so probably an issue with the sensor. Outside of that, look at that, we got heated seats on. Let's get that going, and AC seems to still work because otherwise the light would have turned off. I mean, just pulling out of the driveway, so far we're doing fantastic. The lug bolts are torqued. The tires on this are like so new, basically brand new. And it is a snowy night, as you guys can see. Our brakes are pretty rusty. That's gonna have to rub off with some driving. So that's just making a little bit of noise, but we're driving. We're doing 25 miles an hour. This Tiguan has been waiting for this moment for so long. I mean, I've had it for like over half a year, and we have no idea how long the previous owner had it sitting before they decided to sell it on Copart. We did just get a warning about our tire pressure being low. No big deal. Sort of to be expected considering the fact how long it's set, but none of them are like flat, so not really something we have to urgently take care of. But look at that. Looks like our timing chain is holding up just fine. Our engine is holding up great. The transmission is doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, I'd say this is a job well done. Now, unfortunately, it's not just ready for sale yet because, well, for one, our headliner looks terrible. The previous owners have done a very, very bad glue job here, and the glue messed up the headliner more than anything else. This glue, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in this awful lighting, but it just looks really, really bad. But I'd say we've done about a mile so far. Actually, it is 0.8 miles, and I'd say uneventful. This thing is doing great. I wonder if we have Bluetooth here. Welcome to Volkswagen, guys. Okay, so alright, so, oh my gosh, it has Bluetooth. 2010 Bluetooth. Love to see it. And the next update you're gonna get on this is probably gonna be within a different video, like about a different car. I'm just gonna give you an update of how much it sold for. Generally, this is not a profitable vehicle. I might have like $1,500, maybe $2,000 in profit for this. Which isn't much considering the fact that I did like a week worth of work on this, but we're okay with that. We're okay with that. This was just kind of a project for the soul. I bought this just because I figured let's take a risk and see if we get lucky. Maybe it's just gonna be a starter. Right? I figured it was most likely an engine, but I figured worst case we just change the motor. I knew what I was getting into. But between the two cars, we got about $2,000 invested into this. Then, you know, ATF, oil filter, stuff like that. Let's say $200-300 bucks. We're gonna sell off some parts from the parts Tiguan, like the wheels on their own are worth a solid $400 bucks because that car also has almost brand new tires, and just some miscellaneous things that may or may not sell will earn us, let's say, another couple $100 bucks. So in the end, this was worth doing. Not the best car I've flipped, but good enough. I'm guessing, I mean, I'm gonna try and sell it for a little over $5,000, which is optimistic to say the least, because these are worth about $5,000 ish, but this one has a pretty rough body. It has hail damage all over the hood and fenders and the roof, and then it has multiple rusty spots where the paint is starting to bubble around the body. So debatable whether or not this is gonna sell for that much, but what this car does have going for it is the fact that mechanically it's solid. We have good brakes, we have good tires, we have brand new timing chain, we have an engine from 2015, brand new transmission fluid. So I don't know, maybe we'll find a buyer who cares about the mechanics of this more than they care about the looks. Without further ado, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.